Welcome back to Binge Movie Breakdowns, where we make movies easy to binge. Today we're diving into Yellowjackets Season 2. This gripping series follows a high school girls' soccer team whose plane crashes in the wilderness, forcing them into a brutal fight for survival. In the present day, the survivors struggle to keep their dark past buried as mysterious forces threaten to reveal the truth. With shocking twists and psychological terror, this season is more intense than ever. Stick around for the breakdown, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more. In 1996, the New Jersey Yellowjackets high school soccer team was on their way to a national championship when their plane crashed deep in the wilderness, far from any help. The survivors include team captain Jackie, the determined Shauna, the rebellious Natalie, the mysterious Lottie, the strong-willed Tysa, the odd but resourceful Misty, along with other teammates, their coach, and a few male students. At first, they hold on to hope that rescuers will come, but as days turn into weeks and then months, that hope starts to fade. With no food or supplies, hunger takes over and survival becomes their only focus. The once close-knit team begins to fall apart as fear and desperation grow. They struggle to stay organized, but leadership conflicts and mistrust make things worse. Everyone changes in ways they never imagined. As the harsh winter approaches, they are forced to make terrible choices, ones that test their morals and humanity. What was once a team of high school girls now becomes a group of survivors willing to do anything to stay alive. The longer they stay lost, the more they lose themselves. As the seasons change, their situation becomes even more perilous. Winter arrives with unrelenting cold, and the scarcity of food forces them to make unthinkable decisions. Lottie, who begins experiencing disturbing visions, gains a growing number of followers who believe she possesses supernatural insight into their predicament. Her eerie predictions and mystical aura make her a figure of both reverence and fear. Meanwhile, Jackie, once the team's social queen, finds herself increasingly alienated, particularly from her best friend Shauna, who is secretly pregnant with Jackie's boyfriend's child. One fateful night, after a heated argument, Jackie is cast out of their cabin and perishes in the snow, her frozen body serving as a chilling reminder of how much they have changed. As time passes, the struggle to survive takes a heavy toll on both their minds and bodies. Misty, the team's equipment manager, starts to show a darker side. She enjoys having control and quickly becomes someone the others rely on, but her need for power makes her dangerous. She is willing to do whatever it takes to stay useful, even if it means hurting others. Meanwhile, Natalie and Travis, one of the male survivors, grow close. They depend on each other to stay strong, spending their days hunting and trying to keep things as normal as possible. But as food becomes scarce and hunger becomes unbearable, desperation takes over. When there is no other choice, they do the unthinkable. They eat the dead. At first, it is simply a way to survive, but over time, it changes them. The line between right and wrong begins to fade, and their humanity starts to slip away. What was once a terrible necessity turns into something much darker, and soon, the fear of starvation is replaced by the fear of what they are becoming. In the present day, the survivors, Shauna, Natalie, Taysa, and Misty, try to maintain ordinary lives, but the horrors of their past continue to cast a long shadow. Shauna appears to be a suburban mother, living with her husband Jeff and their rebellious teenage daughter Callie. But beneath the surface, she is racked with suppressed rage, guilt, and a thirst for danger. Her marriage is strained, her secrets are suffocating, and when she embarks on an affair with a mysterious man named Adam, she unknowingly sets off a deadly chain of events. Natalie, battling addiction and self-destructive tendencies, attempts to reconnect with Travis, but their shared trauma remains an unbridgeable chasm. When Travis is found dead under suspicious circumstances, Natalie becomes convinced that his death was not a suicide, but part of a much larger, more sinister plot. Taysa has built a successful career in politics, but deep down she is struggling. Strange things keep happening to her. She wakes up in places without remembering how she got there. She sees terrifying images that feel too real. More and more, she feels like she is losing control of her own mind. No matter how much she tries to leave the past behind, something dark still follows her. It whispers in her head, making her do things she cannot explain. She tries to act normal, but the fear is always there. Did the darkness from the wilderness ever leave, or is it still inside her? As her life starts falling apart, Taysa realizes she might not be as free from her past as she thought. The more she fights it, the stronger it seems to grow, and she begins to wonder if she was ever in control at all. Meanwhile, Misty has become a nurse, but her unsettling personality hasn't changed. She knows how to control people, using kindness or cruelty whenever it suits her. Deep down, she enjoys having power over others. When she and her former teammates start receiving strange messages from a mysterious blackmailer, she is immediately drawn back into their twisted past. Someone out there knows the terrible things they did to survive, and they are threatening to reveal the truth. As the fear of exposure grows, Misty, Taysa, and the others must figure out who is behind it. But the more they dig, the more they realize that their nightmare isn't over. It may just be beginning. As the past and present collide, the surviving women are forced to confront the reality that the horrors of their youth were never truly left behind. A series of shocking revelations pulls them back together, leading them to a figure they never expected to see again. Lottie, who was believed to have disappeared or died. But Lottie is alive and has established herself as the leader of a cult-like wellness center, where her followers look to her for spiritual guidance. Her return reawakens long-buried fears, and it becomes clear that the belief system she cultivated in the wilderness never truly ended. It only evolved. With each step deeper into the mystery, it becomes harder to discern whether the darkness that haunted them was something supernatural or a reflection of their own monstrous capabilities. The story of Yellowjackets is one of psychological horror, survival, and the terrifying descent into savagery when civilization is stripped away. The dual timelines serve to highlight how the past and present are inexorably linked, with the trauma of the wilderness shaping every aspect of their adult lives. The survivors are not merely haunted by their memories, they are defined by them. Their struggle for survival was not just against the elements, but against the darkest corners of their own psyches. When stripped of societal norms and forced to endure unimaginable hardships, they discovered capacities for violence and cruelty they never thought possible. Shauna's story in the present day is particularly compelling as she wrestles with her dual existence. A seemingly normal housewife on the outside, but internally, she is tormented by the things she has done. Her affair with Adam is not just an escape, but a manifestation of her need to feel something beyond the numbness of her trauma. However, as Adam starts probing too deeply into her past, Shauna realizes he may know more than he should. When he disappears under mysterious circumstances, Shauna's carefully constructed life begins to unravel. And the question arises, how far is she willing to go to protect her secrets? Natalie is desperate to find the truth about Travis's death, but the more she digs, the more dangerous things become. It feels like someone is trying to keep the past hidden, and she won't stop until she gets answers. As she pushes forward, her addiction gets worse, making it hard to tell what's real and what's in her head. Paranoia takes over, and she starts to question everyone around her. Meanwhile, Taysa's life is falling apart. Her political career is at risk because her sleepwalking is getting worse. She wakes up in strange places, doing things she doesn't remember. The same strange symbols they once carved into trees in the wilderness now show up in her life again. She begins to fear that the darkness they faced never truly left. As both women struggle with their past, they realize that the truth might be even more terrifying than they imagined. Misty, ever the master manipulator, inserts herself back into her former teammates' lives under the guise of wanting to help. Her cheerful exterior hides a deeply calculating mind, and it soon becomes clear that she is willing to do anything to ensure that their secrets remain buried. When she discovers that Lottie is alive and leading a cult-like following, she becomes fixated on understanding whether Lottie's influence in the past was as supernatural as some believed, or if it was simply the desperate creation of a mind pushed to its limits. As the tension between the past and present escalates, it becomes evident that the survivors are still being watched. Someone knows what happened in the wilderness, and they are determined to ensure that the truth comes to light. But as more revelations unfold, the women begin to question whether they are being hunted by an external force, or if they themselves are the ones bringing the past back to life. The reality of their time in the wilderness is far more horrifying than anyone outside their circle could ever imagine, and the true depths of their actions have yet to be fully revealed. Yellowjackets is a psychological horror and survival drama that explores the nature of trauma, power, and the fine line between civilization and savagery. It delves into the terrifying realization that survival sometimes demands monstrous acts, and that once that line is crossed, there is no turning back. The series raises questions about fate, free will, and whether the darkness they encountered in the wilderness Was an external force or something they carried within themselves all along? Each new revelation peels back another layer of deception, guilt, and horror, ensuring that both the past and present remain filled with suspense, shocking twists, and an unrelenting sense of dread. The story continues to unravel as the survivors are forced to reckon with what they did to stay alive, and what it means for their futures now that the past is catching up with them. And that wraps up our breakdown of Yellowjackets Season 2. This season took us deeper into the darkness, blurring the lines between survival and savagery, past and present. With chilling twists, psychological horror, and unanswered mysteries, it's clear that the story is far from over. What do you think is really haunting the survivors, the supernatural or their own buried guilt? Drop your theories in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss a deep dive into your favorite shows. Thanks for watching Binge Movie Breakdowns, and we'll see you in the next one.